Clippers. The things you hate to see. Welcome back, guys, to another installment of your favorite basketball show on the internet, BallDontLieUk, with yours truly, Humphrey. And I'm gonna have fun with this one. So this video I was gonna make anyway, but after last night's result, the Clippers versus the Mavs, I have some things to let off my chest. I need to get some things off my chest. And yeah, first of all, thank you guys for supporting, liking, sharing, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot, and yeah, I appreciate you guys' support. But moving on to my favorite series. Moving on to my favorite series of this whole playoffs, the Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers. I had, in my last video, I said I went out on a limb and said the Mavericks will win in 7. But I don't know. I might have to change my pick. Because the way the Clippers have been playing, I can't even lie to you. The Clippers stink. They reek. And as you can see in the title, it may sound a little bit of an overreaction, but I genuinely do think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard might be overrated. They might be rated a lot higher than what people actually, they might be given a lot more credit than how they actually play. And last night, they both put up solid numbers. Kawhi had 30 points in the first half, 41 for the game, and Playoff P had 28 points. But again, Luka cancels out Kawhi's points with 39 points, and Tim Hardaway had 28 points to cancel out PG's 28. So the problem with the Clippers, in my opinion, for the past 2 years that they've constructed this team is, first of all, in my opinion, watching the Clippers, when they was first constructed, obviously I was a little bit heartbroken because Paul George left my Thunder, but whatever. The way it's constructed it looked appealing on the eye, the whole rivalry between the Lakers Clippers, and it never really materialized. Obviously in the bubble last year they dropped that 3-1 lead and they've never looked back. They've been terrible. In the regular season, sure, they've had these amazing records, the most highest offensive rating in NBA history, all of that jazz, and having those records creates expectations, and you already know with the Clippers, they don't handle too well with expectations. Paul George and Kawhi, I feel like they are living off of their reputation from previous years gone by. They keep saying they're great two-way players, which I don't agree with. I think there's superstars and there's stars, and those two, they're star players in the league, but I won't put them in the upper echelon of superstar with the KDs, LeBrons. I won't put them in that category. Not even Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi going, in my opinion, Kawhi should have stayed at the Raptors. I really enjoyed that Raptors team. Yeah, sure, KD got injured and they probably would have beaten the Raptors in 6, but in my opinion, Kawhi should have stayed at the Raptors. But of course, hindsight is a beautiful thing. But the way this Clippers team is assembled, and watching them for the past 2 years, I haven't enjoyed watching the Clippers. I haven't really watched much of their games, but the games that I watch, I just don't enjoy. I don't know what it is. And I think the problem that's entered into the playoffs, like I said earlier, they have been, they've had these great records in the regular season. But the fact of the matter is, Kawhi has missed 30 games this season in the regular season. Paul George missed 28 games. And that's all well and good if, they're out resting and their teammates are winning them games. Sure, that's cool. Obviously, it gets them higher up in the seeding. But my problem with them is, if they're not playing these amount of games, they're not put in the situation where, it's like a minute left of the game, they're down 5 points. How can they make up this 5 points and then close out the game? They don't put themselves in positions where there's a tight game and they need to figure out who gets the shot, who takes the shot, who takes that shot. And with the way the Clippers are constructed. I always thought they needed like a true point guard, because Patrick Beverley, in my opinion, I don't think he's it at all. No. Anyway, and they only went and acquired playoff Rondo, Rajon Rondo, which, and if you look in the league, the point guards that are out there, he's probably the only point guard aside from, of course, LeBron James and CP3 that are true point guards. And they've brought him in, and the Clippers are still the Clippers. I still feel like Kawhi and Paul George, they just don't mesh. They always feel like they're in each other's way. It's kind of like, do you take this shot? Do I take this shot? I don't know. There's no continuity. There's no continuity. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that. I don't see that. In their team, and that's basically what's ended them in this conundrum, because with the last 2 games of the season, they had the Houston Rockets, and then they had my beloved OKC Thunder, which these are the 2 teams that possibly the worst 2 teams in the league. And some way, somehow, they dropped the 2 games to avoid the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, Ty Lue, their coach, came out saying, yeah, we just, we're resting our guys for the playoffs, stuff like that. I'm like, your best players have missed 30 and 28 games, respectively. Have missed 30 and 28 games, between each other. How much rest do they need? How much rest do your team need? But whatever, he said that, and they got the 4th seed and ended up with the Dallas Mavericks, who they faced in last season playoffs. They did beat them 4-2, but like I said in my last video, Luka Doncic and Porzingis took them as far as they could. Of course, Porzingis getting injured meant that Luka had to do everything by himself. He did hit that game winner in game 4, I believe, and but ultimately it was just too much. Do you know what I mean? But this season they look so motivated. Do you know what I mean? I think personally, the Mavericks, or like Luka Doncic himself, I love Luka Doncic. I'm not gonna lie to you, he's probably my favorite player in the league aside from Kevin Durant. I think he's amazing. His IQ's off the chart, his composure, the way his playmaking, and in my opinion, I think he's a superstar, because the way he plays is beautiful. I love his game. But I think the Clippers facing the Mavericks was, in my opinion, was their worst matchup, because first of all, they had they had a whole thing from last season. You can see the Mavericks play with a lot of urgency. You can see the hunger in their eyes, and the way they play. They match the Clippers' energy, and Doncic is always going to be Doncic. And in the playoffs, as you would know, or you don't know, the role players in your team play an important part. If your role players do not perform in the playoffs, there's only so much your star players can take you. If you have your role players, hitting shots and making plays, it makes the role of the star player a lot easier. Do you know what I mean? You can use them as decoy, and you can't really double off of your star players and stuff like that, which I think is playing into Luka's hands exceptionally well. He's absolutely carving up the Clippers team, and for a team that's supposed to have these ridiculous defenders, he's literally making a mess of them. And it's a joy to watch. I can't believe I fell into this whole Clipper hype. I feel stupid. Do you know what I mean? I can't believe I fell for it, but I completely love I love the Dallas Mavericks, and this series I might have to change it to Dallas in 5. And it's ridiculous to say it, but if Dallas beats the Clippers, I think they'll have to blow up this team, and Kawhi is gonna have to leave. Well, he's not gonna have to, but I don't see why he'd stay, because the way this team is constructed, I don't see them doing much, especially with LeBron still, in Los Angeles. Moving on to the other game, the other series, the LA Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. See, now this series was promising at the start, in game 1, but then Chris Paul had one freakish shoulder injury. I don't know where it came from, but it happened, and you can see that he's been massively affected by it. He had 6 points in the game 2 that happened last night, and you can just see he's so unlucky. Chris Paul's so unlucky, because it feels like in most playoff, like especially the most important ones, he some way somehow tears his hamstring, or he has a foot problem, a shoulder problem. He's so unlucky for such a great player. He's been so unlucky in the playoffs, and it looks like it's going to happen again this season, because with Chris Paul being significantly hindered, I don't see the Suns winning another game this series, because AD's come back to being AD again, and LeBron he normally uses the first game as like a feel out game, just to see what the strengths of the other team is and what he can do to exploit it. But this series is almost as good as done, and also with the Nets and Celtics series. I mean, as long as KD is getting to the next round, that's all I care about. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that series is not competitive at all. And also in my last video as well, I spoke a little bit about the Knicks and the Hawks, and how Trae Young has made his name in the regular season, but of course the playoffs is where you're really noticed, and where you really make your name. And no better place to make your name than in Madison Square Garden, where he dropped 30 points and shushed the Knicks fans. I mean, he's created his own iconic moment, and you create those moments in the playoffs, and I'm happy for him, and I can't wait for the next game that happens tonight. But I think the Knicks probably will pull this one out, and if they don't, series is over, because the Knicks, as good as they've been this season, they don't really score as easy as other teams. But like I said, they're a breath of fresh air. It's good to have the Knicks in the playoffs, but I'm not sure how far they will go this season. But I'm intrigued to see what they'll do and how things will turn out. But the playoffs so far, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Because last season in the bubble, I'd be lying to you if I said I watched much of it. I just couldn't really get into it as much. I mean, I watched the games, but it's just the lack of atmosphere. Obviously, it was pretty new to a lot of people, but I just really struggled to get into it. Seeing fans back in the stadium brings a tear to my eye. I can't lie. I love the fans. I love the atmosphere. The whole playoff atmosphere is sick. I've enjoyed the playoffs so far. You guys let me know, your favorite games so far in the comment section, and I really do appreciate you guys' support. Like I said, keep liking, commenting, and hit that subscribe button. Follow me on my socials as well. I need to start tweeting more as well. On the playoff games, and I've been enjoying the playoffs so far. It's shaping up extremely well, and I can't wait to see more games and see how they look. And I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to y'all later.